How you doing? Welcome along to Bazzas Garage. Now, bit of a change of plan here. We were building my other mower, which I'll continue to go along. So we've got the reboot of the old mower, but something's come up in between. It's Christmas holidays time, and I've got nothing better to do than hang around home and do nothing. So I figured what I'll do is I'll look at doing another little project which might just help some people out. So this basically is the launch of Bazzas Backyard Budget Build for Billy Bob. So what's happened is, a good friend of mine has dropped off a whole lot of pieces to me and basically said, how would you go about making a mower? And I had a really good idea that what I would do is I would start a project from scratch and show you exactly how to go about building a Class 1 mower for the New Zealand national regulations. That's relatively fun and hopefully cheap to build. You're going to need some good mates to help you out. That's what it's all about, and we'll try and keep the budget as low as possible. So what we're going to do is everything we've got, we'll put the pricing in the bottom of the comments so you can see what it's costing to build and all the bits and pieces we have to do to make it work. So I'll show you what we've got so far. So this is what I've received in pretty bare form. So I've started off with a John Deere chassis. So we've got the chassis here. So this is a complete chassis. Bonnet, whatever you want to call that, foot, fire guard, steering wheel cover, whatever. So we've got that, and we've got the full chassis here. It's a big heavy metal chassis, which is fine. Weight's not really that much of an issue. And then it's got good chassis in here, so we probably won't need to do much strengthening in there. And it's completely gutted, so there's nothing in there that we could possibly remove anymore. We've got nothing else to come off it. What we're going to have to do from there is obviously we've got to put a rear axle in, put a front axle in, gears, gearboxes, all the things that we need to make it go, brakes and things. So we'll just leave that at the moment. Now you can probably see here that already what's happened is they've done a bit of a cutout to fit the bearing block in. Now we'll talk about bearing block in a second. Now I'm going to have a look at this and see if I can maybe drop the mower down a little bit. We've got to be careful with the wheels because we've got to fit within the guards, and obviously there's a big fuel tank there which goes in there as well, and we want to keep the original fuel tank just because it's, yeah, it'll be nice to have the fuel tank where it is here. Run it through. There's not a lot of space for the fuel tank anywhere else, so we'll do that on this particular one, and that's what Billy Bob wants me to do. So I'm sort of bound by what he wants us to do, so we'll leave the tank in there and we'll fit those cassettes in there. So enough of that. So this chassis, I think from memory was about 150 bucks. So I'll put the confirmed prices in the bottom of the comments. Okay, so the next thing we've got here is we've got some rear wheels. So 2 rims, second-hand rims with hubs on them. So they're a 25mm axle, and they've got 4-bolt hubs which they bolt onto. And again, we'll put the prices, this stuff's all second-hand. We'll paint it up, make it look all good when we're finished. It's already got the splines cut in it, or the keyways cut in it, so that's a bonus. If we didn't have the keyways cut in it and we made them ourselves, we would have to get the keyways cut. But luckily enough, I know a guy who knows a guy that's got one of those, and we could do that fairly easily. We've also got the bearing holders here. So these 2 bearing holders, these are the ones that are going to go bolted on the side of the chassis down in here. So this here basically is going to bolt onto here like that, and then the axle is going to go through there. So we've got one each side, and we'll put those in there. Then we have the axle. At the moment it's just a straight axle. It's a piece of 4140 steel. So you remember that, 4140, it's the type of steel that you want to get. And we're going to have to machine some grooves in here to hold the wheels, obviously, and the brake disc and the gear as well. So we've got a brake disc here. So this has been bolted onto a hub, again 25mm. This doesn't have the spline cut in it very well, so we're going to have to cut a keyway in here to lock it onto the shaft. There are other ways you can do it. You can get bi-locks and bits and pieces, but for me, I find it easy just to cut the groove in here and put a keyway in. So we've got one of those with a brake disc. We have a holder here for the gear. Now I'm not sure how many teeth are on here or what pitch that is at this stage. We'll have a look at that and we'll do some work on that, and we'll discuss how we're going to sort that out later on. But again, this needs a keyway cut in it, so we'll have to cut a keyway so that we can fit it onto the shaft. So that's one part of the project. We've also got a rod angle gearbox here. So this is the standard peerless right angle drive, which has already had a little bit of stuff done on it, and they've extended the shaft out. We've got a sprocket on the end of here, and the reason for that is because there's not much room inside the chassis, so we're going to extend it out and put the drive sprocket on the outside of the chassis inside there. So this has already been done. Somebody's already bolted it onto here, machined it up so it fits over here, and then extended the shaft. Obviously we've got to, again, either put a spline on here or get a different sprocket. We'll worry about those things a little bit later, with one bearing holder here to hold it to give it some extra support. So the one on my mower doesn't have this extender. It's straight on the end of here and goes straight down inside the chassis, but either way it will work fine. So that's already got a bit of strengthening on there that fits up inside the chassis. We've got the fuel tank here, so it's a huge fuel tank, the original one, but as I say, we're going to put that up inside there so it'll sit quite nicely in the back of the mower, and that'll be fine. Also had a couple of wheels for the front here, so these are just your standard front wheels off a lawnmower, ride-on mower, with the bearings already in them. So you really want ones with bearings, not just bushes. The bearings and the bushes won't last. You need the bearings. A couple of stub axles there. Obviously they go through there, so we've got to make some pieces to fit these wheels onto the stub axles. So the plan at this stage basically is we're going to have, this is what I've built before for my other mower. All it is a piece of 30mm steel, which we're going to bore a hole right through it. We're then going to put a hole in this way, and this is going to be a 10-degree angle for our stub axle, and this is to do with the KPI, but we'll discuss that further as we get further through it. At the moment it's going to be a piece of 30mm with a hole bored through it 12mm for a 12mm bolt. We've got a couple of these heam joints, and the way that works is because these heam joints have got these joints here, or rose joints, whatever you want to call them, they don't need bearings in the top of here, because once that bolted on there, that acts as a bearing and they only move a small amount, so that's fine. So these are 12mm as well. So once we bored the hole through there, drilled that through there, we'll machine these down to probably 19mm or maybe a little bit smaller, so that we can drill a hole in here at the right angle. We'll pull a hole, put it in there, we'll fully weld it. We might put some gussets on to strengthen it as well. And then we've got to cut out this this piece here. Now this piece here, again, we've checked about the right angle for this, so that when the wheel is sitting there, if you've got a line from the top of the bolt going across the top of that hole and down to the centre of your rear axle, that's going to give you where the Ackerman for your vehicle should be. It's going to give you the right steering and good turning, which is going to be kind of important. So that's sort of where we're at the moment. My job for the next couple of days is to go into the lathe and drill a hole and put it onto a drill and drill a hole in there, weld it up, so we've got some sort of stub axles. And as you can see down here, we've also got a fancy looking steering wheel that they want to fit onto it. So I'm going to have to cut a piece of steel, drill some holes, put it onto a shaft that goes through, and then I'll go down to the steering. But we'll discuss the steering in another video as well. So so that's sort of where we're at the moment. I've got a whole lot of bits and quite excited about building a new mower for somebody, and the idea is that we can keep it down as budget as possible. Now, I don't profess to know everything about lawnmower building at all, and I'm sure you'll look at what I do and go, oh, there's a better way of doing it, or you should have done like that, and that's fine. Hey, maybe you could share those ideas with other people so that we can find an easier way of doing it. But all I'm trying to do is basically give people who might be struggling to build a lawnmower in New Zealand a few hints and tips on how they can get about stuff done, so that we can get more people out there having fun mower racing. So that's probably about it for today. So until next time, see you later.